Bonjour, ma jolie petit enfant, comment ça va? Oh, bien, merci. I last said that at a festival in France, and I had an audience in front of me, and there was a little Yorkie in a pair of pink pyjamas. And I bent down and I said, bonjour, my jolie petit ami. Nobody can see I'm talking to a dog, so do the same thing, obviously. Welcome to the tea box. We're Jan and Dónall, that mythical being the poetry couple that doesn't really exist, but hey, there you go. Our names are Dónall and Janice. So, I'll start off the proceedings by reading some poems so that people, as she said when she came in, said, well, I've got to be better than that Irish guy with the curly hair. And indeed, she may very well be. I'm trembling now that she's looking at me like that. Alright, this is a poem called Superman. I wanted to be your superhero, but all the best ones were already taken. Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, oh how they roll off the tongue. Doctor Strange or Daredevil or Green Lantern even. So I had to become my own one. Now I hear you cry, kissless and cuddleless, but have no fear, for I am here, created by your own longing, a superhero to suit you. Yes, it's Mr. Kiss Kiss and Cuddles Man, to the rescue!
My hero! You, come on then.
I'm just going to get a room. You read poetry amongst yourselves, yeah? I did have the unfortunate thing of having a head injury, which paralysed the side of my face, took out this arm, and for the next 5 years, my life just sort of faded away. And I didn't know, so I just threw my happiness like an American footballer. I just went back, threw my happiness in front of me like that, and ran for 5 years in slow motion and caught the ball. There's two things I'm not very good at, obviously, with a story like that. It's happiness and mathematics. So this is called Parallel Lines Do Not Meet. It's about the only thing I could understand in mathematics at the time. So when I was learning Pythagoras' theorem, the square and the hypotenuse equals some squared number to sides, blah 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 blah. I remember one fella said, why are we doing this, sir? We'll never use it in real life and stuff like that. But I was at a disco one time, and there was this lady that everybody wanted to chat up, and it was my first disco, my only disco, and I went over to her and I said, excuse me, but the squares and the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the squares and the other two sides. And she slapped me across the face. And I had to walk back with a big slap mark all the way to my table with all my friends laughing. And then she came over, about half an hour later, and they thought, oh, here it comes again, she's going to give you a hiding. And she said, hi. She gave me her telephone number and she explained Pythagoras' theorem. And we got together from that. So, yes, it did have some use in later life. But this is called Parallel Lines Do Not Meet. Happiness is not a mathematical formula that one can apply to supply an answer. Rather, it is the sum of who you are multiplied by who you are willing to be. Happiness, like mathematics, is something I was never, ever any good at, and always made me weep with equal parts desperation, exasperation, or frustration, or death, for short. For example, if it took a man a lifetime to dig himself into a hole, how long would it take for half the man he used to be to dig himself out again? Questions such as this only cause me grief. In mathematics, like Latin, which I could also never know, I would cheat and repeat words full of sound and no sense. E.g., the cares of the hippopotamus are equal to some of the cares that the other two hippopotami can find. Happiness, like mathematics, was all Greek to me. I don't know, that's all I know. But I do know that happiness happens every now and then. The only trick is to be aware that it's there and that parallel lines do meet at infinity. Q-E-D. Thank you. I have a little friend in a wheelchair. She's about 79, and I was ringing her up one morning on my way to school, and she said, is that a train behind you? And I said, yeah, I'm stuck here. And she said, oh, I like trains, me. And then she told me why. She lost her virginity on the train, so. This is called First Class, of course. I like trains, B. I lost my virginity on the midnight Manchester Express. I was wearing my favourite little black dress. Then, I was not wearing anything. That old clickety-clack never fails to bring it all back. First class, of course. Thank you. This is the lovely poem with a title called TWAK. As I said, we're a poetry couple, and I was making Jan her breakfast one morning, and I wrote TWAK. And I shouted up the stairs, proud of myself. I said, Jan, love, I've just written a poem called TWAK. And she wrote, said, I just wrote a sonnet. And that's the kind of relationship we have. She does all the, you know. So this is called, for what it's worth, TWAK. TWAK! A knife embeds itself in the space just by her left ear, as if the wood gulped it, sucked it in its glint, vibrating still. In her head she plans dinner. She stares at her husband, remembers how he had come to court her. TWAK! Another knife flashes spitefully, narrowly missing her other ear. A little bubble of blood, like a stud earring blossoming on a wobbly earlobe. Ouch, she whispers to herself, guilty at such an overreaction. Oh, how he had excited her, her head in a spin, saying he was in show business. Her world revolves about him. The next knife impregnates itself in the space between her legs. Like a tuning fork, it hums. Her excitement builds. A splinter of wood nestles in her left inner thigh. Wow, nice. She becomes moist. The shimmy of her spangles as the lights catch her. A little gasp, she faces him boldly, afraid and unafraid. Upside down now, her world all topsy-turvy. She's still so proud of her husband's skill to tantalize her, his unerring accuracy, the pride of being she, the knife thrower's assistant, as well as wife. TWAK! Thank you. This is called Communion. New dress, she stands on kitchen table, finishing touches to the hem. Stand still, stand still. She's got pins and needles. Mum hums, her smile full of pins. And I'll finish off with two poems. This one is called Telling Them Jenny, and The Man Who Is Not My Father Is My Father. So I'll read the first one. I used to look after a guy called Michael. This is called The Man Who Is Not My Father Is My Father. This man who is not my father is my father. The others laugh. It's not your turn, but he calls only for you. And so I go and clean him up, his skeleton tin body splashed with urine and shit. I laugh and joke with him. He chuckles as I tell him, Michael, you used to be so full of crap, but shit, now you're not. Lucky our Irish sense of humour extends this far. Say anything with love and it becomes so. It is a tired old joke between us, but like a child he pounces on its nuances, relishing each pause and stupid syllable. I bade him, this man who is not my father, gently as if he were my child. I sing to him all the old songs I learned at my father's hands as he bade me. Why does my poor heart keep following you? We sing together softly as I bade him, dress him anew in the memory of my father. This man who is not my father becomes my father, as my hands learn to care for him. I settle a pillow behind his head, wipe sweat from his forehead, stroke his hair until his sleep is full of dreams. Dreams. And then this is called Telling Him Jenny. Does anybody know Lee Hunt's Jenny Kiss Me?
Yeah.
Favourite of mine, lovely little lyric poem. Goes something like this. Jenny kissed me when we met, jumping from the chair she sat in. Time, you thief, would love to put love into your list, put that in. Say I'm weary, say I'm old, say that wealth and health have missed me. Say I'm growing old, but add, Jenny, kiss me. Lee Hunt was a contemporary of, he started off a magazine, and two of the bright new young sparks were Keats and Shelley. So, good time to be alive. Lee Hunt would, if you invited him to stay, would arrive with his very copious family, and he wouldn't leave for months and months and months and months. He'd have everybody with him. And he wrote this about his wife's friend. So this is called Telling Them Jenny. Tell me the poem, sonny. he always called me Sonny. Tell me, Jenny, I recite, I love your voice, Sonny. As I bade him, Jenny, kiss me. He always asks again and again, who is it by, Sonny? And I tell him again and again, it's Leigh Hunt, Johnny. He never remembers. He closes his eyes and recites along with me, saying the words silently, his lips trembling with their beauty. He always cries when I come to the end and begs again for me to tell him, Jenny. I ask him if there was a Jenny, and he says, no, her name was Molly, but it's near enough. My hands attend him as he dies. I whisper in his ear, not the priest's act of contrition, but the words he loved to hear. I still hear his voice speaking in silence, mouthing each invisible word. Say I'm growing old, but Jenny, kiss me. Thank you.